Just kidding. We ain't doing 30 seconds of countdown.
Hell no.
Hell no. That intro music sucks, anyways. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, men who act like children of all ages, the Missouri Aquarium Society no longer presents
The
the
five time podcast of the year.
the
The MoY Boy.
All right, best intro ever.
What everyone asked for, they get.
Yeah, the podcast that you did not want, but for some reason have been asking for. It's back, baby. All right. We have got an absolutely garbage show coming up for you guys tonight.
And you can
Let's
always
see.
count on that. We always deliver.
Believe it. We've got the
Alright.
matchup recap from the previous week. We have got, the panic bus has come and gone. It is now just a playoff bubble. You know what? I take it back. I actually do have one manager on the panic bus. We'll talk about that later.
Yep. And
We've got a few MoY moves to talk about, and then we've got the playoff picture. And then we're going to finish it off with the upcoming matches. So, without any further ado, let's get straight into last week's matchups. Pigu, are you there?
I'm here, and it's been quite a struggle. I'm sitting on the outside looking in, number 5 seed. It's fascinating to see the league. It's great action in the league. I know the only person who's truly, I guess Ray's technically in, isn't he? But
Not
not
necessarily.
necessarily. An O2 skid could change everything.
O2 skid changes everything. If he goes O2, I win out, you win out, and Brett Tet wins his final game. It comes down to tiebreakers. Now, Ray has a decent lead on all of us. He's ahead of me by about 65. He's
Okay,
ahead of
then
you by about
it
150. And
comes
he is
down to me
ahead of
outscoring
Brett
Brett.
by about 175.
Yeah, it would come down to me outscoring Brett over the next couple of weeks. We're close.
Oh, 100. He's ahead of Brett by 190.
I'm
So
only like 30 ahead of Brett.
Ray is basically guaranteed
Okay.
to make the playoffs.
Well, welcome to the playoffs, Ray.
Yeah, well, I'll hit it for you.
Race World, tragic great, starts to take.
That drop is it's the best drop I've got. It's not even close.
All right. So to round out last weekend, I took a huge L, and we all know how that felt. I lost to Z-Warn for the third time this year, 239 to 196. I am the only person in the league who gets to play Z-Warn 3 times a year. So it's an interesting conundrum.
Walk us through that matchup, Pigu.
I got smoked 239 to 196. I gave it a good shot. But there are a lot of good performances this weekend. Take a look at this next game. Brent Van Connu takes down Ray Rat 200 to 194.
Did you know that's the second time that Z-Warn has hung 230 on somebody?
On me.
Exactly. Both times are
it's
against
our rivalry matchup. I love the rivalry.
One-sided rivalry. Mm-hmm.
All right, and then we had Eddie Disler taking out.
Wow, Z-Warn's actually hung 243 times this season. I'm going through it.
Yeah.
Keep talking. I'm looking
Eddie
at this.
Disler 187 versus Brett Fitzgerald 137, a 50-point disparity basically, just under.
Oof.
And then the last one, you absolutely smoked your father at a time of year to be thankful for him. 222 to 164. Thankful that I matched up against you, Dad.
The dive by my father was performed extremely admirably. He took the dive, and I am grateful for that, Ops. Appreciate it. All right.
We've got 2 weeks left, and the standings are incredibly tight for the playoff. It's a 3-man playoff race.
I like the way you hit that tight. Really
accentuated the T in tight.
Tight.
But basically, Z-Warn and Ray Rad have basically locked it up. Z-Warn's auto in. Then Brett Fitzgerald in third. You're in fourth. I'm in fifth. This is a 3-man race for the last 2 spots. If I continue to be the odd man in, I have to be the favorite for the toilet bowl. I cannot piss my chance away on the toilet bowl. Is all I'm
I've got one. So we're about to get into the playoff picture here. Before we get into the playoff picture, I want to talk about a couple of trades that have gone down. We've had so this is the MoY move segment. We got a couple of trades that have been going down. We have a trade between I think I traded away Olave and got Tank Dell. I believe we talked about that last week.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was a good trade because Olave was on a bye week that week, and it worked out because Olave is now concussed and probably not going to play this week. So that move was 200 IQ right there. We've also got another trade coming down between myself and Z-Warn. This is probably one of the bigger trades of the year. We've got Josh Jacobs, who I believe is the RB5 on the season, and Devontae Adams, who's I think he's wide receiver 13, for Sam Laporta and Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard is like running back 11 on the season, and Laporta's tight end 4. Laporta's been skidding recently, but he just had a big game this past week.
Nope, he did not skid against me. I can tell you that. He popped off.
Turned you into a skid mark.
He had over 20. He was not skidding.
He didn't have 20. I think he was 17.
All right.
No. 17. So yeah, anyways, I did that because Adams and Jacobs are both on a bye week, and if I beat Z-Warn, I really believe that my playoff spot is locked at that point. You guys would have to outscore me heavily in the next 2 weeks to take that away from me. So if I can get just this one win, I think I've got it locked. Now, that does kind of charge up Z-Warn's team a little bit, but I feel like his team has taken a couple shots lately, and losing some key players in Joe Burrow. He's lost some key players in Joe Burrow. He's lost Jamar Chase. His ceiling has gone down. So, has it really hurt him? No, he fucking stomped, even with those injuries. But I didn't feel like supercharging that team just a little bit to give myself a better chance was the bad move. Because if I'm on the outside looking in, what does it even matter? All right.
I will say this. If somehow, I just looked at the schedule. Brett Fitzgerald has a brutal last 2 game stretch. He goes up against Ray Rat this week, and then he plays you.
Coincidentally, we are going to be talking about the only person sitting on the panic bus.
God damn you,
Brett.
I'm not. I am in no way, shape, or form necessarily threatening Brett. I have to go up against
Lamb
the dad.
plus
I have to go up against
fish
the master
plus beaver equals fish.
I have to go up against the cerebral assassin Todd Harris, and then I have to face Brent Van Kanye, who drops a 200 burger last week and takes out Ray Rad out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And so nothing's guaranteed just yet from anyone.
No, not even close. Now, here is what we are looking at as far as the playoff picture. Brett Tet has sole possession of third place thanks to his 7-5 record.
1 win and he's in.
1 win. He's he might not get in. Because if you win out, he gets 1 win between the next 2 weeks. You get 2 wins and I get 2 wins.
And it's points.
And he's in last place in the tiebreakers.
Yeah.
So Brett really needs to take his own fate into his hands. He needs to win both weeks.
You guys have the Harry Potter conundrum in week 14, neither can win while the other survives or something like that.
No, not necessarily. Again,
you-
because Brett could
he
win.
could take the L. He
Brett
could
could
win
win this week against Ray,
He could take the L against you.
and then
Okay.
take the L
Not
against me next
necessarily.
week, and still lose his playoff spot.
I hope I get the 4th spot in the playoffs and I can take down Z-Warren in the playoffs. Then it's a rivalry, baby. Then
That
we
would
have
be that would be epic, and especially because it's only in the first round of the playoffs.
it's a
This is important.
week, one chance.
It's 1 week, 1 game, 1 opportunity. All
Opportunity.
right. Now, so here's the path to the playoffs for the 3 teams in question. Brett Tet, because I know you're listening, you need to win this week. You have to beat Ray. Here's why I have put you on the panic bus, you dumb bitch. Lamar Jackson, bye. Justin Fields, bye.
Ooh.
Let's scroll on down here. Your starting tight end, Kyle Schitz. Saquon Barkley, bye.
Blitzed.
That is Mark Andrews, done for the season. Brees Hall, horrible matchup. I mean, it is just about as bad as it can get for Brett Lamb plus Fish equals Gerald.
But if I would want to be anyone, I want to be Brett with the 7-5 record, having to skid down.
I would rather be me. I think I got a baller roster. I think I've got a 1 win and I'm in.
Yep.
I would much rather be me, whereas Brett could get 1 win and not be in. So that I think puts me in the best chance of making the playoffs between the 3 of us. Now, let's talk about his matchup. He's got Ray this week. Ray has got pretty much all of his studs. He does not have any meaningful buys. His only injury is Kenneth Walker. And he's got TJ Hawkinson and Jordan Addison on bye, but Hawkinson's not a super, super meaningful buy, and Addison's been pretty mediocre to bad as of late. So I really like Ray's chances here. In this week's matchup, I got to give Ray the nod. Now, looking at next week, Brett plays myself, and his path to the playoffs gets a little bit trickier. My path to the playoffs gets a little trickier, and his gets a little bit more tough because my team is starting to really come together. I've been making moves. I feel really good about my situation here.
Yep.
He does have one player on a bye next week. It is Marquise Brown. So Marquise Brown on a bye in week 14. He's got some pretty good matchups for Lamar, who's got the Rams. Justin Fields has Detroit. In those games, Detroit often ends up in shootouts. A good matchup for Javonte Williams against the Chargers. So he's got some play in week 14. But if I get the win this week, I'm in. I think I'm most likely in, unless both you and Brett win out, which is possible.
Well, if Brett wins out, he's 9
if Brett wins out, he's in for sure. That's what I'm saying. Brett needs to win out to take his destiny into his own hands. Now, I want to talk about your path. You are going up against my dad this week. My dad, who is fielding an absolutely gutted roster, and he is missing a couple of key players to bye weeks. Well, I don't know about key. Wan'Dale Robinson is on a bye. He's been awful. Khalil Herbert's been awful. He's on a bye. Baltimore defense has been pretty dang good, but they're on a bye. He's got Zach Moss coming off the bench. That's a lot of help, actually. And he could probably stack either Jahan Dotson or Logan Thomas with his quarterback of Sam Howell to add a little explosivity into his lineup to potentially get the win. So, again, you're pretty heavily favored in this matchup.
But still, anything can happen. This is the cerebral assassin.
It's the cerebral assassin we're talking about here. Now, for you, you've got a pretty decent roster. You're
I
missing
got
a
Josh
couple of
Allen this
guys
week. I missed
of
Kyler
Josh
Murray next
Allen,
week.
right? Josh Allen and Jared Cook, James Cook, not Pete's Paddle Hands, Jared Cook. Devon Achan potentially back. I
Oh
don't know if you can start him.
Hey, you have to play him if he plays.
Ugh, feels
The
bad.
most electrifying fantasy football player in the game today.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Then next week, let's look at your matchup for the next and final week.
I
You've
got
got
Brett Van Conyu. Brent.
And Brent Tent is dangerous, man.
Cooper Cup, Christian McCaffrey. He just dropped 200. It's not
His
a
team
joke.
is ragtag, if I'm being honest, in that Cooper Cup hasn't had more than one game. He's only had 2 games over 10 points this season.
Cup.
Very Cooper Cup like. So, been dealing with injuries all season long. I do like Chuba Hubbard. I feel like Chuba Hubbard is a very sneaky play. He's on the bench there. David Njoku's been very consistent and very good for the last 6 weeks. He's gotten double-digit points. David Njoku is currently with Amari Cooper getting injured. David Njoku might be the first read in this very stagnant, but admittedly, fine for a tight end Cleveland offense. I also like the volatility that Brent Tent has with Pacheco. I think he's boomer bust. Kelsey has been solid. Hopefully, get a boom game. McCaffrey's a big guy, big potential, and Jared Goff is also kind of a boom bust player. So a lot of volatility there.
He could throw up 200. I better bring
he could throw up
201.
So that's a bit of the playoff picture, and what's the factors that are going to decide who gets in. Now,
the only person who cannot influence the playoffs, it sounds like, Eddie Disler. He's already done his damage for the year.
Yeah, he doesn't get to have any meaningful games except for
last week's Eddie's. I just want to give a shout out to Eddie because if he doesn't take down Brett last week, then we're talking about a totally different picture.
Yeah,
Eddie did what he had to do in last place.
Damn job.
He rose up from last place to get 7.
Yeah, and this is really a battle for MoY. Eddie is fighting tooth and claw these last 2 weeks to stay out of the MoY conversation. Potentially put this late season collapse by Brett Slam Fitzgerald. I mean, late season collapse is a strong narrative for MoY.
MoY, always.
It's won some people MoYs. Yeah, it's won some people MoYs in the past. All right. I want to point out one more MoY move. I traded you Kyler Murray. And did you think I didn't notice when his bye week was?
No, I already knew when his bye week was. I knew I had to take him if I was going to try to win some games with 2 QBs. You need 2 QBs.
You do. And you had, at that moment, exactly 1.
Yeah. So, who knows? I may have to trade him. I may have to try and get him for another guy.
Do what I did?
Yeah.
If you were to try that, you'd be trading with Brent Tent. Honestly, I think Brent's pretty fucking checked out of this league right now.
Yeah, Brent.
Not really I don't think he's looking to make any deals. I've been trying to trade for Christian McCaffrey. I've been like, here, take Justin Jefferson and 3 other guys. He's like, no, go fuck yourself. All right, well. So
I'll do my best. Gotta try.
So yeah, that's the situation. That's the upcoming matchups.
Literally outlined the entire status of the league, including next week's games.
Yeah, kind of honestly did everything. Real quick, it's me versus Z-Warn. Eddie Disler versus Brent Van Conyu. We've got Cheater versus Todd Harris, and then Brett Tet versus Ray. If I had to give a match of the week,
Eddie versus Brent.
Game of the week.
We need a game of the week.
I think game of the week is got to be
the Fish.
Brett Tet versus Ray.
Yep.
Because this has playoff seeding implications. If Brett can get a win, then Brett has a chance at the number 2 seed. But more importantly, if Ray gets a win, it keeps the door wide open for you and I.
Massive.
Very big league. All right, fellers, that's all I've got this week. If you guys have any comments, concerns, or questions, keep them to your fucking selves. I will see y'all in the next one.
Boys, peace.
Brett.
Later.